All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FitFam. This is Hilary, Miss Natural Olympia.
And this is Doug, the Formulator.
And welcome back. We're excited to be together. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Nevaeh. She was awesome. It's so good to see the passion in her towards women's
She's
health.
so great. She does such an amazing job.
It was awesome. If you haven't, go back and watch that episode. It was really good. Today is really interesting because we're going to be talking about this problem that keeps coming up and it keeps compounding, and we're sounding the alarm on this forever, but it seems to be getting worse, and we're even getting our minds blown of how serious this problem is and the damage that's being caused.
Yeah, I don't know that it's getting worse as much as we're coming out with more and more evidence of just how bad it's been, and because I think on the opposite side of that, a lot of people are really understanding the consequences of eating processed food and just how detrimental it is to their health. And so I don't know that the problem is getting worse, except the fact that we are getting more and more evidence and research coming out of just how bad processed food is for you. And Florida just recently did a research study where they tested a bunch of candy, like processed candy, and they found higher than normal or elevated levels of arsenic.
And that's pretty crazy.
In 26 of 33. I don't know. Is really, really high.
Yeah, no, it was. And what was crazy is understanding arsenic and the toxicity of it. That, you hear of arsenic poisoning and people using arsenic to poison others. And it just goes to show how easy it is for unnatural foods that are created in a lab, thrown together with lots of sugars, to attract and bind to it these heavy metals, these even bacteria, viruses in different situations, because there's nothing there to repel them. And they're just this magnet. And so whether the arsenic was mixed in and part of the sugars, or it was attracted, from the packaging or whatever it was, here we are, poisoning literally, not just with sugar that we know is one of the worst problems today, but now with heavy metals, which gets to the brain and causes a lot of things, especially learning problems with children, because of being able to have the nutrients not be able to pass the blood-brain barrier. So that was a huge wake-up call that Florida just this week.
Yeah, no, and I think I would challenge people if you feel like processed foods that have, so many ingredients in them, foods that have dyes, foods that have artificial flavors, if you think those things don't affect your children, test it.
That's a really good point.
I'm telling you, it wasn't too long ago, and we had the grandkids at the house, and we were doing something, and we were having so much fun, and then I don't even remember what it was, but I gave them something that I should not have given them. And within just a few minutes, hyperactivity was through the roof. And so I feel like we really need to monitor how our kids act pre and post
processed foods. Absolutely. And what's interesting is that we're also learning more and more that when you take processed foods out, since they've been around for a while now, and it's getting even more. And what you mean by prevalent is the percentage that's increasing every year is the amount of processed foods you're eating versus whole foods, because they're everywhere and people are getting used to the convenience of them. Even though it's just as easy to stop at a store and get some blueberries, to go in and buy candy and stuff. It's just becoming this thing. And so we're also finding out, though, that once you cut those out, what happens to the body. And we actually had a client that the only thing that he did, and we're talking tracking every bit of nutrition, every bit of exercise, every bit of supplements, peptides, he knows exactly to a T what he does. And the only difference was cutting out some of those foods that were not
and he was
single whole foods, not from nature.
Right. And he was already eating fairly healthy.
Fairly healthy.
So it wasn't necessarily that. It wasn't that he wasn't already consuming really healthy foods. It was okay, no matter what, no processed food.
No processed food. So we're talking, already a limited amount, but cut those out. And his blood pressure dropped from a high range into the normal range with only that. So we know that blood flow, that anytime there are processed foods in the body that they bind the blood together, and it makes it harder for the heart to push blood through the body, higher blood pressure, and that immediately changed within like 48
Yeah,
hours.
and I would say he's a beautiful example of not only the blood pressure changing, but of like better sleep, like sleeping soundly, sharp mind.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like all of our measurements that we get from him
Mhm.
are always so good.
Absolutely. And, there's study after study, like Hillary's talking about, that there's more evidence of this, not just the Florida study, but studies that are showing that, look, that these processed foods are stopping nutrients from getting to the brain. These processed foods, even if they say they're sugar-free, they have these synthetic sugars that are actually raising blood sugar over time more and affecting insulin sensitivity even more than sugar itself, and that the damage that's being caused by these also is genetic, that it's actually causing the body to have what's called SNPs. And SNPs there's a long word for it. It's called single nucleotide polymorphism, big old long word. But
Say
basically,
that 3 times.
all it means is that there's something wrong in your gene code. So, like the easy one is like people that have the MTHFR gene, or something where they have a problem with B vitamins, or there's different genes that are kind of popular. And but what we're finding out is that these processed foods can create some of these genetic problems, and it can be a huge thing, and it can exacerbate already ongoing feelings and hormone balances and things like
Yeah,
that.
and something else that we've talked about, I don't know that we've mentioned it here, is that processed foods now contain so many terrible ingredients, or maybe one specific, I don't even know, that make even GLP-1s ineffective.
Yeah,
So,
and it was an actual document they found that the food company said, hey,
yeah.
we're losing money because people aren't eating as much food, and so we're going to actually create these processed foods to actually block GLP-1 in the body, which is crazy because it's not just blocking the peptides. So even if you're not into the peptides or anything like that, like semaglutide or retatrutide or the pharmaceutical versions, I don't recommend, but um, even if you're not into those, your body makes its own GLP-1 from the gut and your fiber and your probiotics. And these foods now are blocking that. So you're like, oh, they're just trying to block these peptides and drugs. No, it's blocking the body's natural ability to regulate
Well, and that's the
cravings.
goal, right? I
That's the whole
mean, the
goal.
the goal is to create such massive cravings that you have to buy it,
Boom.
you know? So,
Absolutely. And it kind of led to another study that we introduced this weekend with our doctors. We had the Brimhall Homecoming. We had, a good kind of a smaller group of doctors, about 130 to 140 doctors from around the nation. And so it was really great because we could do some really deep training. But one of our friends would say, he's a person that made the plastics test so that you can test for your plastics in your blood. I highly recommend doing. You can get it at Optimal Health Systems. He actually performed a study, and the study was amazing because what it did is it showed exactly how much plastic buildup from processed foods, chemicals, and that in the body, and what happens if you intervene properly.
yeah, well, what's crazy is 100% of the people in this study, right? 100% had microplastics.
Yep.
Not not one person didn't have microplastics.
And that
In
backs up
fact,
the Western University
yeah,
study, right? You're
right.
talking about that. So basically, every study we know of across the United States, including this one, shows it 100%.
No, yeah, yeah. Even when you are being really, really thorough and vigilant about trying to eliminate plastics, it's part of our environment. It's
Right.
just part of the way that we live now. And so we have to do our best to eliminate plastics as much as possible, which also feeds into the processed food, right?
100%. So what they did is they measured plastic in three sizes: less than 10 microns, 10 to 30, and then above that. And we had this discussion like, what does that
Yeah,
mean?
like what do those sizes mean?
Yeah.
So,
And so it was kind of cool because, they try to break it down to help understand what the sizes are.
yeah, so when you're looking at like 1 to 20 microns, that's like the size of a white blood cell.
Right.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, and it's like, we're saying like, well, what's the size of a white
What's the
blood cell?
size of the white blood?
Well, think about
Doug knows.
you
I'm
have
like,
red blood cells and white blood cells in the body, and you're like, okay, whatever size they are, the plastic's that same size.
yeah, it's almost irrelevant. It's like the plastic is the same size as my white blood cells. These guys that are trying to fight all the evil inside my body. So,
it. And then they measured, the higher ones, and anything above 40.
Yeah, anything above 40 is visible to the eye. So you could actually see the plastics floating in your blood, right?
Yeah.
And then above 70 microns, it's human hair size.
Oh, so
right.
Ooh, that's a plastic.
I got my hair done today, and when I came in, it was back like this. And so it was just like these little pieces, and Doug thought I cut it.
I said, Bob, how's it going?
Doug does not want my hair short. Anyways, okay.
Okay, so
wait, also, I just want to there's just like, I mean, it's really interesting to me.
Okay.
So I think other people would think it's interesting. So above 150 microns, paper thickness. So we're just creeping up, and people it's not unusual for people to have this much plastics within their system.
Big time. And that's what the study showed. Yeah. And so basically they did 103 people. It was a what we call real world observational study. It's a study you do before you end up doing the peer reviewed double blind research ones. And so this will be published. And in every case, the people were able to, one, determine they had plastics, but in every situation, sometimes it was the third test, but by the second or the third test, if they consumed enzymes and the special enzyme called thalazyme that breaks things down, right? Enzymes digest down, and we're able to have this one enzyme created that breaks down the plastics, the phthalates. Every single one of them were able to reduce it, cool. Which is really cool.
So cool.
And so basically, we know that you can reduce plastics 3 ways. One is taking Kezyme. The second way is eliminating it. And you've done a lot of great things to eliminate
as much
in-house.
as you can.
What have you done?
Eliminate storage containers, food containers that have plastics. We used to keep so not just like your leftovers, those storage containers. We used to store our powders, our protein powders, in plastic containers. We now have switched to glass containers with our protein powders. What else?
Well, I think also trying to work on not heating and things as much in plastic, and that's always a big
for
issue,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so, all of these little things, I think trying your best to do what you can. Don't freak out, because no matter what, you're going to have some plastic in your life, but do the best you can. And the thing with that I think that we're working on the most right now is the research shows that, one, plastic's not good, but what makes it really bad is when you freeze or heat food in plastic. Trying to stay away from that. If you just did that, it's going to eliminate a lot of the plastics in the body that's causing a lot of these exacerbations of hormonal situations in the body that you normally wouldn't freak out about, or anxiety and stress. It's just exacerbating those. And that's one of the things that I wanted to get across today, was that this, gosh, I was never that freaked out about things, or I, was able to calm down and to do not have as much emotion about things. A lot of times it's because of these processed foods, including the plastics in the blood, causing this disruption. Basically, the vibration isn't the same because it's not whole food and it has a synthetic, and that vibration not being able to be consistent causes stress and anxiety.
Right. Yeah. And I just kind of want to throw out there, I know for myself, when I choose to eat more sugar, which is obviously processed foods, I am more irritable. I am more irritable and less reasonable he's making faces at the camera, isn't he? But I truly can feel it. And I know that that is something that happens with a lot of people. And some of us are more sensitive. And so we have to be that much more vigilant about reducing. I'm speaking to myself right now.
And
reducing processed foods and sugars.
Well, and I think I love the fact that you, I think, really notice it yourself.
Oh, I notice it big time.
And it's a really good place to be. And there's something about working to be consistent, to get in shape, because when you're in shape and you're living a clear lifestyle, you do feel things sooner, and that way you can adjust. And the more down the road you are, it gets tough sometimes. The worse shape you're in because you become,
Well, your body
your
adjusts.
body adjusts and you don't realize how bad things are for you. It's like the first time you smoke, you cough, right? And then you get used to it. So as you improve your health, that's one of the blessings is you get to feel these things more. And back to the study, just to finish up, what was interesting is some of the people in there would have a high number to begin with, and then it came down, but a couple of the participants had a high number, like 80 different particles of plastic that got reduced. Instead of getting reduced down to less, it went up to 97 because it was pulling it from the organs,
Mm.
and then it went down to 4, right? Like it did have a huge reduction, but it was after it actually got the plastics out of the blood. The organs were waiting, didn't want to put too much in the blood, so then it put more, and then finally it reduced. So this is something that we know is building up in the organs. Like we have the research now, right, in the brain and in the heart and lungs, and we need to do things to be able to purge that.
Well, yeah, and oftentimes things get worse before they get better,
Hmm.
right? When you're doing a cleanse, boy, you feel way worse before you ever feel better, right?
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
anyways,
And I think that we didn't mention the third way. So one is trying to
oh,
eliminate everything in your home. The other one's taking Kezyme or digestive aid to break it down, something that has the enzyme thalazyme in it, TH thalazyme. And the third way is really cool, sauna.
oh, your girl loves a good sauna.
Absolutely. And it's about the body wants to get rid of it, and the heat and the sweating, the body's like, okay, you eliminate one of three ways usually. Your normal way of elimination, out the mouth and out the skin, the largest organ. And the fact that the body is doing so much work to eliminate it from a sauna tells you how bad these are for you. It really wants to get rid of it, but we're
Mm.
not giving the body a shot. We're not exercising enough, sweating enough, right? Doing those things.
When's the
And
last
so,
time you got a good sweat in, sir?
oh man.
From a workout slash sauna.
Well, workout all the time. It's not aerobic workout, just, pushing the iron,
We're gonna
not resting.
get Doug on a treadmill. Yeah, no, but I do want to say when we're talking about the sauna, I feel like the sauna is such a wonderful if you're able to sauna, I feel like it's such a wonderful tool because every day we should spend some time with ourselves anyways in meditation or alone time, quiet time. And there's nothing like doing it in the sauna where your body is releasing. And so it's like this time where your mind is able to release as well. And so it's a great tool.
Absolutely. Completely agree. So, really, today, I know we've talked about a few of these things separate in some of the podcasts, but this problem in either based on research or because we keep getting worse, or maybe both, as far as processed foods being so convenient, we really need to do something about it and take responsibility yourself. No one's going to come save you on this subject. You need to start eating more whole foods, right? Single ingredient type foods in your diet. Start eliminating processed foods, work on the plastics in your lifestyle, but make it a point to start acting on it. That's the key. Is there's a lot of things that you see out in the news and social media, and how many times we talk about it, but really, what's it going to take for you to take action? And the key with that is just to know that if you want more, even calm in your life, then you want to get rid of these plastics and toxins so that the cells can be in homeostasis and balance. So if you just want more balance, focus on getting rid of processed foods in your life, and then all of the other benefits of lower body fat and immunity and all that comes with it. But I think just calmness, that balance, it's really needed more of, I think, nowadays,
Okay.
relationships and everything. It's just that balance. Agree?
Beautiful.
That's awesome. So let us know what you're doing to reduce plastics, to reduce processed foods. We'll love to share those things that you're doing, those wins that you're having on doing this with yourself, your mate, your children, and would love to share it.
Some things that we've done recently to try and help. Freezing grapes. That seems like a great.
I love that one.
Doug loves that one. That's like a great treat. And then recently also in glass mason jars, adding a bit of honey, lime, and then whatever fruit you want and shaking it up and having it in the refrigerator ready to grab. That's as easy to grab as a bag of candy, right?
I went through 2 of
So
them today that you left in there, so it's good.
there was only 2
You want to
left.
try that?
There's not gonna be one left for me.
I'll make you some.
He won't.
So let us know. We really do want to know. We want to share with people what you're doing to help with this, because we need the movement. We need the movement of people committed to get rid of the processed foods and to really help get back to nature, so we can just create that beautiful life together of having that balance. And so
I
thanks
like
for
it.
joining. As always, this is Miss Natural Olympia Hilary.
And that guy right there is Doug the Formulator.
Take care. Keep chewing.